We're going to talk about a woman named Rachel Bittencofer.
Mm.
Rachel Bittencofer got everyone's attention today, which she has a few times. She had a really nasty one about France and refugees a while ago, but she tweeted this out. I probably won't be able to stop the Schadenfreude when Shahid gets deported.
Oh,
That's what
wow.
talking about Walid Shahid, who
Who wrote an
was
excellent piece in The Nation, by the way.
yeah, he was
Um,
I think one of the best guys around doing this stuff. I think the navigating the waters of uncommitted, and I think he was extremely gracious and well-meaning, but current affairs points out the yeah, exactly right, nasty stuff.
I didn't
Current
realize it was this same person sorry, keep going. I'm
Oh yeah,
amazed here. Yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So, current affairs points this out: the fact that Rachel Bittencofer, who gleefully fantasized about deporting people, was once advising DNC chair Jamie Harrison should tell you everything. We talked about Jamie Harrison on this program recently. He's a massive lobbyist. I mean, every Boeing, Bank of America, Walmart. I mean, everybody. Jamie Harrison should tell you everything. When leadership listens to voices dripping with this kind of venom, it's no surprise they lost to Trump. Now, Bittencofer, I am ashamed, along with like Adam Gentleson, probably the two sort of most heinous people I remember having on Majority Report. Bittencofer on like 4 or 5 years ago, she had some analysis that we thought was very weird. It wasn't bigotry. I can't remember what it was. I don't think it was as egregious as what she's about to do on Pac-Man, but eventually we're like, this is not the poll watcher we want. Nonetheless, she's gained a reputation as an election guru, the election whisperer. She's credited by none other than David Pakman here in this interview. I mean, she's a big self promoter. I'm just going to let this plane go over.
Yeah.
She's the type of person that I watched this Pakman interview. She plugs her book. I mean, bro,
Yeah.
take a chill pill. But here's her talking with, and to David Pakman's credit, he asked the relevant question here. This was about 7 months ago.
It seems really like retail strategy. You have to spend hours or days with people to get them to sometimes reconsider. It seems to me easier to find the 40% of the electorate that doesn't vote, focus on the people that are already sort of on our side, and explain to them the importance of getting out to vote. Do you agree that that's a more effective strategy, a better use of time? And how do you motivate those folks to get out and vote and about the importance of voting?
So, David, the hypothetical that you pose, a Trump person, a person that likes Donald Trump, is voting for, Republicans and likes Trump and doesn't see any issues with that there wasn't an insurrection. That person, there'd be zero utility in trying to convince them to vote not for Trump. But there's another part of it, and that's about, if you think of his 60 million votes in 2020, it's about half, maybe 60% of that coalition, maybe 70. But there's another 30% of that Republican coalition that's voting for Trump because of brand loyalty to the Republican brand. And it's a very imagistic, like, loyalty. It's, when I think of Republicans, I think limited government, good on the economy, low taxes. Those are the people there's utility to focus on. And the reason is, as I've alluded once already, to the realignment or de-alignment of non-college educated voters, first whites, and now everybody to the right, as they've been hit with this propaganda grievance strategy, okay? But there's a second realignment as a product of the first. As they did the stuff that made people who don't have the education to ward off the effects of propaganda, as they were doing.
Oh, my Lord.
Can we just pause here for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, conservative propaganda was invented in 2012-ish.
Yeah.
What's happening is the bottom dropped out of the economy for everyone but, say, political scientists with PhDs. And it's obvious to all of them and not to any of these people. So why is it that people might be receptive to a guy who's been synonymous with wealth building for 30 years in popular culture like Donald Trump after Barack Obama delivered for bankers and no one else? Okay. Fair enough. There's some good stuff with Detroit and the auto industry, whatever. Ultimately, he did not bail out homeowners. He bailed out banks, and he defended doing so. We've discussed that exact speech in 2009 on this program, and people realized it, man. And people's and that is also in the context of a long-term decoupling of wages with productivity in this country that coincides with the drop of unionization. Like, people have been getting screwed. This is not even just COVID inflation. Like, there's a lot of people who just want to say, well, look, everyone lost after COVID inflation. Is that really just it? Maybe we should widen the aperture out a little bit. But so really insulting stuff, and apparently it's just propaganda, this grievance politics.
Totally. I mean, this is what is so rich. It's one of those things that is just so fundamental, I think, to this new look, they got it. They wanted a different coalition, and they got it now. Best of luck to them as they build it. And that coalition is wider and richer and less attached and committed to fighting for working class people. And I'm sorry, the arrogance is palpable. And this idea that, like, oh, these people don't understand their own interest, we do. No, people understand that y'all being in power has meant massive giveaways to the wealthiest people in society, the propping up of a particularly nasty industry, Silicon Valley, that is now preying upon the country. And yet you might say, oh, but excuse me, sir, Silicon Valley is all supporting Trump. Yeah, because they weren't loyal. And that was a really stupid fucking move for the Democratic Party to react to a massive failure of the American financial system, the inequality of the American system, and say, you know what, we just need a different class of California billionaires to kind of clean this system up. No, I mean, it created a lack of trust amongst the traditional base of the Democratic Party. Now, of course, that started at the onset of neoliberalism with Jimmy Carter, accelerated by Bill Clinton, and then Obama really just embraced the final chapter of this transition away from working class voters with his giveaways to the richest amongst us and the bankers.
And this is an advisor to DNC chairperson Jamie, Harrison.
Harrison, yeah,
himself,
who is also a big loser,
a pedestrian group lobbyist. Yeah. So let's understand what's happening here. This is not good faith disagreement and people just looking at the data and it's, ooh, one of us is touching the elephant's tail and one of us is touching the trunk and we all just got to come together. No, this is the people who are responsible for selling out the working class base that the Democratic Party had to donors, saying, take those motherfuckers for granted. Take the people who are, that actually do care about foreign policy in an election and what American empire is doing. Take them just tell them to fuck off. Never mind that maybe they played a role in Obama, beating Hillary or whatever. Just take all those people for granted and go after. I mean, we haven't even got to the juice of this yet. What her strategy is. So let's, without further ado, let Rachel, after she insults the stupid people that can't recognize propaganda.
Percent of that Republican coalition that's voting for Trump because of brand loyalty to the Republican brand. And it's a very imagistic, like, loyalty. It's, when I think of Republicans, I think limited government, good on the economy, low taxes. Those are the people there's utility to focus on. And the reason is, as I've alluded once already, to the realignment or de-alignment of non-college educated voters, first whites, and now everybody to the right as they've been hit with this propaganda grievance strategy, okay? But there's a second realignment as a product of the first. As they did the stuff that did that made people who don't have the education to ward off the effects of propaganda, as they were doing that, it caused a problem in the burbs for them. Smart, college-educated, traditional suburbanite Republicans didn't like it, okay? Mm-hmm. And you start to see them leave the party really even before Trump, but it escalates quite a bit with him and his nomination. And there's still a lot of those folks out there. So, like, my work as a strategist is getting campaigns to focus on that bucket and break their brand loyalty, because it's not about selling a candidate or a guy. You have to get them to feel like the brand of voting for Republican is bad and they are embarrassed to do it, right?
Now, again, let's be very clear. This is what the Harris campaign did, and it failed. And the numbers are in that fewer Republicans crossed to vote for Harris than did for Biden. It's over. It's Jover for her. And she just admitted it right there that one of her jobs, advisor to DNC chairperson Jamie Harrison, is to get them to focus on those voters, and they did not get them.
So basically, you have a whole strategy that the basis of the theory is that American voters are stupid, right? And the only people we can talk to are people who have this propaganda shield. By the way, what we're talking about is like people who make more money. Uh, you know? It's like, I mean, it's not,
Probably
so
a
these
total
guys are
coincidence.
smarter. Yeah. Oh, it's like, we're not going to run on the economy or working class issues anymore because the voters are too stupid. No, basically, people are getting the message, and those voters aren't stupid. They're getting a very clear message about where your priorities are as a party. And as we said back in 2020 on this program, the fact of the matter with the Biden coalition was, maybe it worked in this moment, but that's a very dangerous gamble to take with those suburban right wing voters because guess what? They're not particularly loyal to your political project or to your party. And Matt, I know, we had this at the beginning, but could you just bring up what she said about Waleed again? Because what's so frustrating about a lot of people in the Democratic Party is one, how bad they are at politics because it enables and empowers the right wing to do truly horrendous things to the rest of us. But on top of how bad they are at politics, the lack of fucking humility with these people to admit, hey, you know what? I've been driving this car in the wrong direction and we might be driving off of a cliff. Instead of saying, oh, you know what, maybe we should pump the brakes, change strategy, turn around, they just turn around and start insulting everyone else in the vehicle. So this again is that person who you just saw on Twitter saying, I probably won't be able to stop the Schadenfreude when Shahid gets deported. A truly, truly disgusting moment here. And it really, I have to say, is particularly fascinating to see how every Democratic official, once they get pushed a little bit, just turns out to be this guy.
Yeah, Obama admin State Department guy, right?
Yep.
Is that what it was?
So
Cool
that's
stuff.
that's the Democratic Party. I mean, truly, horrendous to see that kind of stuff. And again, and saying this about Shahid is so disgusting because what Uncommitted was doing was trying to say, please allow us to try and get votes for this party. Just allow us to be able to say, there is some reason or this reason, and all that they got from the Harris campaign was literally, you know, uh, I'm speaking, insulting them at the DNZ convention, and then bringing in Richie Torres, who is known by nobody except for people who follow Israel Palestine stuff, because he is known as one of the most psychopathic Zionists in the U.S. Congress, which is saying something. Bringing him to Michigan, right? That's what the Harris campaign provided to these folks. I mean, really so nasty to sit here and say that you want this person to be punished for trying to help y'all win, and y'all refused. Sorry, Matt. That's
No, I
disgusting.
agree. Like, and honestly, it's the dialectic because I totally hear the people who wanted a more severe approach than Uncommitted took.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
taking the extremely reconciliatory approach that they did and getting the door slammed in their face nonetheless really drives the point home forward in a way that's just completely undeniable. Like, it's insane. Yeah, and this is again a long-term strategy. We're gonna be continuing our series where Democrats went wrong.
Yeah.
Of course, a big part of that is blaming Obama, which we're going to do more of in the post game. But also, we talked about Schumer in a recent Sunday show, doing exactly what Bitkofer said there, which is for every working class person in Western Pennsylvania we lose, we will gain two in the educated, moderate suburbs of
Yep.
Eastern Pennsylvania. And you know what? They turned out more 100K voters. They did.
Really? I mean, this
Good
is like,
job.
I'm sorry, and like I know, and we have so much Trump stuff and like what the strategy needs to be going forward to do. But like, this really needs to be a moment where the entire thesis of politics of these people is just shown to be completely and utterly false.